The morning sun cast long shadows across the marble floors of the Galactic Confederation Hall. Ambassador Choi So-young walked through the empty corridors, her footsteps echoing in the silence. She had received the emergency meeting notice just 3 hours ago. Something big was happening, and from the tone of the message, it was not good news for humanity. Admiral Park Dae-ho stood by the large window in his office aboard the orbital station above Earth. He watched the blue planet slowly turn below him, peaceful and beautiful. His device beeped with an urgent message. The Galactic Confederation was calling for an immediate assembly. All species representatives must attend. No exceptions. Dr. Kim Hyejin was in her laboratory on New Sol Colony when the alert came through. She was studying soil samples from 3 different human colonies, working on her latest research about how human settlements affected alien planets. The data was fascinating. Human colonies seemed to make planets healthier, not worse. But now her work would have to wait. Captain Lee Woo-bin received the alert while flying patrol near the edge of human space. His ship's computer displayed the message in bright red letters. All military units were ordered to return to base immediately. Something was wrong. In his 15 years of service, he had never seen such an urgent recall. The Galactic Confederation Hall filled with representatives from hundreds of different species. The air buzzed with nervous energy. Alien diplomats whispered to each other in dozens of languages. Ambassador Choi So-young took her seat in the human section, feeling the weight of suspicious glances from other species. At the center of the great hall stood 7 tall figures. They wore dark armor that seemed to absorb light. These were the Vorthek Empire's representatives. Their leader, a creature with 4 arms and glowing red eyes, stepped forward to address the assembly. Members of the Galactic Confederation. The Vorthak leader spoke in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. We bring urgent news that affects the safety of all civilized species in this galaxy. The hall fell silent. Even the usually noisy Zellarian delegates stopped their chattering. The human species poses a direct threat to galactic stability, the Vorthak continued. In just 200 years, they have spread across 17 star systems. They consume resources at an alarming rate. They change entire planets to suit their needs. They are ecological parasites. Ambassador Choi So-young felt her blood run cold. She had expected trade disputes or territorial arguments, but not this. We have studied human expansion patterns, another Vorthek representative added. They will consume everything if left unchecked. Their terraforming technology destroys natural ecosystems. Their industrial processes poison atmospheres. They must be stopped. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Some species nodded in agreement, others looked uncertain. A few glanced nervously. At the human delegation, the Vorthek leader raised all 4 arms for silence. Therefore, the Vorthek Empire demands immediate action. All human colonies must be abandoned. All humans must return to their home planet within 1 solar cycle. If they refuse, we will remove them by force. The hall erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted in dozens of languages. Some species cheered, others protested. Ambassador Choi So-young stood up, her hands shaking with anger. This is outrageous! She called out, humans have followed every galactic law. We have signed every treaty. We have never attacked another species. How can you make such demands? The Vorthek leader turned his glowing eyes toward her. Your species' actions speak louder than your words, human. You spread like a plague. You take what is not yours. You change what should not be changed. That's not true, Ambassador Choi shot back. Our colonies improve planetary conditions. We bring stability to failing ecosystems. We help planets become more livable for everyone. Lies, the Vorthek hissed. You destroy to rebuild. You poison to purify. You are a virus that must be contained. The Confederation President, an ancient being from the Altarian species, called for order. His voice boomed through the halls. Speakers, the Vorthek Empire has made their position clear. This matter requires a formal vote. Over the next 6 hours, species after species took the floor to speak. Most supported the Vorthak demand. They spoke of human expansion with fear and suspicion. They talked about resource competition and territorial concerns. Few mentioned the improvements human colonies had brought to their regions of space. Admiral Park Dae-ho watched the proceedings from Earth through a secure transmission. His jaw tightened with each speech against humanity. Captain Lee Woo-bin stood beside him, both men watching their species being condemned by the galaxy. "Sir," Captain Lee said quietly, "what are your orders?" "We wait," Admiral Park replied, "but we also prepare." Dr. Kim Hae-jin sat in her laboratory, watching the vote count on her screen. The numbers were clear. Most species feared humanity's rapid growth. They saw humans as aggressive colonizers rather than helpful neighbors. Her research data showed the opposite, but no one was asking for her evidence. When the final vote came, the result was crushing. 847 species voted to support the Vorthak demand. Only 23 voted against it. The rest abstained. Humanity was alone. Ambassador Choi So-young requested permission to address the assembly one final time. The president granted her request, though many delegates were already leaving their seats. "Members of the Confederation," she began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "You have made your decision. Humanity will comply with your demands. We will abandon our colonies. We will return to Earth." The remaining delegates seemed surprised by her calm acceptance. "But I want you all to remember this moment," she continued. "Today, you have chosen fear over facts. You have chosen suspicion over science. You have forced the evacuation of 47 million human colonists based on the words of a military empire that has conquered 12 species in the last century." The Vorthak leader started to object, but Ambassador Choi raised her hand. "We warned you once before about the consequences of ignoring scientific evidence. When the Kepler plague threatened to destroy 3 star systems, human doctors found the cure. When the vegan sun began to collapse, human engineers stabilized it. When the Centauri food crisis nearly caused a war, human farmers solved it." She looked around the hall, making eye contact with as many delegates as possible. "Today you compel humanity to leave. We have warned you about the consequences of this decision. You will face those consequences without our help." Ambassador Choi gathered her materials and walked toward the exit. Her footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. As she reached the door, she turned back one final time. "When you realize your mistake, remember that we tried to warn you." The doors closed behind her with a soft hiss, leaving the assembly in uncomfortable silence. The Vorthak leader laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Empty threats from a retreating species," he declared. "The galaxy will be safer without them." But several delegates looked troubled as they left the hall. Ambassador Choi's words echoed in their minds. The humans had always kept their promises before. They had always been right about the big problems. What if they were right about this? 2. Back on Earth, Admiral Park Dae-ho activated emergency protocols. The greatest evacuation in human history was about to begin. But as he issued orders to his fleet commanders, he smiled grimly. The aliens thought they were removing a threat. They had no idea what they were really doing. The consequences would be more terrible than anyone could imagine. The massive transport ships filled the sky above New Seoul Colony like dark clouds. Admiral Park Dae-ho stood on the command deck of his flagship, watching the evacuation proceed below. 47 million people had to leave 17 worlds in less than 1 year. It was the largest movement of humans in history. Captain Lee Woo-bin piloted his ship through the crowded space lanes around the colony. Transport vessels of every size carried families, equipment, and precious belongings. Back toward Earth, children pressed their faces against windows, watching their home world grow smaller behind them. "All civilian transports, maintain your flight paths," Captain Lee spoke into his com. "Military escorts are in position. We will get everyone home safely." Dr. Kim Hae-jin packed her research equipment in her laboratory. 20 years of work on alien soil studies went into sealed containers. Her data showed something important about human colonies, but nobody wanted to listen. Maybe someday they would understand what they were throwing away. Engineer Yu Tae-min supervised the shutdown of the terraforming stations on New Seoul. These machines had turned a dead rock into a garden world over 50 years. The artificial atmosphere would last for decades without maintenance, but eventually the planet would return to its original state. Sir, his assistant asked, should we destroy the equipment? The Vorthak will take everything when we leave. Yu Tae-min shook his head. Let them have it. They think they understand our technology. They will learn otherwise. On Earth, General Nam Ji-ho watched the construction of underground cities. Millions of returning colonists needed homes. The planet's surface could not hold everyone, so they dug deep into the Earth's crust. New cities grew like roots beneath old ones. The Australian facility will be ready in 2 months, his aide reported. The Siberian complex needs 3 more months. The African installation is ahead of schedule, General Nam Ji-ho nodded. Good, these people are leaving paradise to come home to Earth. We must make sure Earth is ready for them. Dr. Shin Min-ho worked in a secret laboratory beneath the Himalayan mountains. His team studied advanced physics and dimensional theory. The government had given him unlimited resources and one simple order: prepare for the future. The quantum field generators are ready for testing, his lead scientist reported. The dimensional anchor system shows promise. The temporal displacement theory needs more work. Keep working, Dr. Shin Min-ho replied. We may need these technologies sooner than expected. Captain Lee Woo-bin made his final inspection tour of the human colonies. Each world had its own story. Kepler 442b had been a frozen wasteland before humans arrived. Now it had green forests and blue oceans. Gliese 581g had been poisoned by volcanic gases. Human technology had cleaned the air and made it breathable. On each world, Captain Lee performed the same secret task. He planted small devices in hidden locations. To anyone watching, they looked like memorial markers left by departing humans. In reality, they were quantum beacons with advanced sensors and communication equipment. Beacon 7 is active, he reported to Admiral Park Dae-ho on a secure channel. All systems are functioning normally. The Vorthak scanners cannot detect them. Excellent, Admiral Park replied. How many more worlds? 5 remaining, sir. I should finish within the week. The evacuation continued for months. Vorthak ships watched from a distance, making sure humans did not take anything that belonged to the planets. They did not understand that humans had given far more than they had taken. Dr. Kim Hyjin studied her data during the long journey back to Earth. Human colonies had changed alien worlds in ways that went far beyond terraforming. Human bacteria had created new soil compounds. Human plants had formed partnerships with alien organisms. Human waste products had become food for local creatures. We were not just living on these planets, she wrote in her private journal. We had become part of them. Our bodies, our breath, our very presence was keeping these worlds alive in ways we never realized. Engineer Yu Tae-min secretly copied his terraforming data to hidden servers on Earth. The Vorthak could take his machines, but they could not take his knowledge. The real secrets of human terraforming technology were not in the equipment. They were in understanding how human life worked together with alien environments. Director Bae Sung-ho established the Terran Intelligence Network in a facility deep beneath Seoul. His agents would continue to watch the galaxy even after humans retreated to Earth. Hidden communication relays and automated monitoring systems would keep Earth informed about galactic events. Phase 1 is complete, he reported to Admiral Park Dae-ho. Our observation network is in place. Phase 2 begins when the last humans leave the colonies. The Vorthak celebrated their victory as human ships departed the colonies. Their military commanders divided the conquered worlds among the 7 member species of their empire. They renamed the planets and began moving their own colonists to replace the humans. The galaxy is safer today, the Vorthak leader announced to his people. The human plague has been contained. Their dangerous expansion has been stopped. Captain Han Soo-jin commanded the secret monitoring station at the edge of the solar system. Her sensors watched Vorthak ships moving into former human colonies. Her computers recorded everything for later analysis. Interesting, she noted as she studied the data. They are taking our equipment, but not our methods. They think they can maintain the colonies with Vorthic technology alone. The last human transport ship left Gliese 581 grams on a cold morning. Captain Lee Wubin personally commanded this final evacuation. As his ship cleared the planet's atmosphere, he activated the last quantum beacon. Beacon 17 is online. He reported, all colonies are now under full monitoring. The network is complete. Back on Earth, 47 million returning colonists tried to adapt to their new underground cities. Many had been born on alien worlds and had never seen Earth before. The planet felt strange to them, with its heavy gravity and thick atmosphere. Dr. Ru Yunyang worked in a medical facility, treating colonists who struggled with the transition. Some had developed immunity to Earth diseases during their time on other worlds. Others had genetic modifications that helped them survive in alien environments. Their bodies changed to match their new homes, she explained to her colleagues. Now they must change again to match Earth. It will take time. Admiral Park Dae-ho stood in his new command center beneath the Pacific Ocean. Screens showed data from the 17 quantum beacons hidden on former human colonies. The real work was just beginning. Project Deep Garden is now active, he announced to his senior staff. Automated systems are monitoring all former colonies. When ecological collapse begins, we will have complete records. Fleet Admiral Ko In-soo reviewed the evacuation reports in his office. Every human had been safely returned to Earth. Every piece of critical technology had been secured or hidden. The galaxy thought humanity had given up. They could not have been more wrong. The first phase is complete, he told Admiral Park Dae-ho. 47 million people evacuated. 17 worlds abandoned. 0 casualties. How long before the Vorthak realized their mistake? Admiral Park Dae-ho smiled grimly. Dr. Kim Hae-jin estimates 6 months before the first signs appear. 2 years before total ecological collapse. 5 years before the galaxy begs us to return. And will we return? Oh yes, Admiral Park replied. But when we return, it will be on our terms. The galaxy will learn that some warnings should be taken seriously. The great exodus was complete. Humanity had retreated to Earth as demanded, but they had not surrendered. They had simply changed their strategy. The consequences the ambassador had warned about were already beginning, though nobody realized it yet. 2 years had passed since the last human ship left the colonies. The galaxy had grown quiet about the human problem. Most species believed the threat was over. Humans had retreated to their homeworld and stayed there. No human ships traveled beyond Earth's solar system. No human ambassadors attended galactic meetings. It seemed like humanity had accepted their punishment and disappeared from galactic affairs. Director Bae Seung-ho sat in his underground office beneath Seoul, watching data streams from across the galaxy. His intelligence network was working perfectly. Hidden sensors and communication relays brought him information from every former human colony. What he saw made him frown with concern. "Show me the atmospheric readings from New Seoul," he told his assistant. The screen displayed graphs and charts that painted a troubling picture. Oxygen levels were dropping. Carbon dioxide was rising. The careful balance that had taken 50 years to create was falling apart in just 24 months. Captain Han Soo-jin commanded the secret monitoring station at the edge of the solar system. Her job was to watch and listen to everything happening in nearby space. Her sensors could detect ships, communications, and energy signatures from dozens of star systems. "Director Bae," she spoke into her secure communicator, "I'm picking up distress signals from the Vorthak colonies. Multiple systems are reporting problems." "What kind of problems?" Director Bae asked. "Crop failures, atmospheric instability, water contamination, the same pattern on 7 different worlds." Dr. Kim Hae-jin worked in her new laboratory beneath the Sahara Desert. She had spent 2 years analyzing data from the quantum beacons that Captain Lee had planted. Her computers processed soil samples, air quality readings, and biological surveys from all 17 former human colonies. It's worse than I expected, she told her research team. The ecological collapse is accelerating. These planets are dying faster than my models predicted. Her assistant looked at the data with confusion. But why? The Vorthak have advanced technology. They should be able to maintain the colonies, Dr. Kim Hyjin shook her head. They don't understand what we did to these worlds. They think terraforming is just about machines and chemicals. They don't realize that human biology became part of the equation. Engineer Yu Tae-min reviewed reports from his hidden sources within the Vorthak Empire. Vorthak engineers were struggling to operate human terraforming equipment. The machines worked, but not the way they were supposed to. Atmospheric processors produced the wrong gas mixtures. Soil treatment systems created toxic compounds instead of fertile earth. They're using our equipment like tools, he explained to Admiral Park Dae-ho during a secure meeting. But our technology was designed to work with human operators. Human breath, human waste, human skin bacteria. Without humans, the machines are just making things worse. The Vorthak Empire faced growing problems across their new territories. 7 different species had colonized the former human worlds, but none of them could make the colonies work properly. Food production dropped every month. Water systems failed regularly. The air itself seemed to be getting harder to breathe. Dr. Song Lejin had designed many of the atmospheric systems used in human colonies. Now she worked in a secret facility beneath the Antarctic ice, studying why those systems were failing. Under alien management? The problem is biological compatibility, she explained to her colleagues. Human lungs produce specific compounds when we breathe. Those compounds were feeding helpful bacteria in the soil. Without humans, the bacteria are dying and the soil is becoming poisonous. Commander Oh Dong-wook led covert missions beyond Earth's solar system. His stealth ships were invisible to most sensors, allowing him to observe conditions on former human colonies without being detected. What he saw confirmed everyone's worst fears. Gliese 581 grams is becoming uninhabitable, he reported after his latest mission. The Vorthak colonists are evacuating to orbital stations. The planet's atmosphere is reverting to its original toxic state. How long before total collapse? Admiral Park Dae-ho asked. 6 months, maybe less. The volcanic gases are returning. Without our atmospheric scrubbers running properly, the air will kill anything that breathes oxygen. The Galactic Confederation began receiving reports of problems in the former human territories. At first, they dismissed these as minor adjustment issues. New colonies always had difficulties. But as months passed, the problems got worse instead. Of better. Dr. Ru Yun-young had moved from medical work to biochemical research. She studied how human biology had interacted with alien environments during the colonization period. Her discoveries were shocking. We weren't just living on these planets, she told Admiral Park Dae-ho. We were symbiotic with them. Human skin. Cells shed proteins that certain alien plants needed to survive. Our digestive systems produced enzymes that helped break down toxic compounds in the soil. Even our hair and fingernails contained chemicals that supported local ecosystems. The Vorthak military commanders grew frustrated with their colonial administrators. Despite having the most advanced technology in the galaxy, they could not make the former human world's productive. Resources that had flowed freely under human management now required constant, expensive intervention. Fleet. Admiral Ko Insu gathered reports from intelligence sources throughout the galaxy. The picture was clear and disturbing. 17 worlds that had been garden paradises under human care were becoming wasteland disasters under alien management. The ecological collapse is spreading beyond the colonies, he noted during a meeting with Earth's leadership. Neighboring systems are reporting problems too. Apparently, our colonies were doing more than just supporting themselves. They were stabilizing entire regions of space. President Moon Jae-won reviewed the intelligence reports in her office beneath the Swiss Alps. As leader of the United Earth government, she had to decide when and how humanity would respond to the developing crisis. How long before they ask for our help? she asked Fleet Admiral Ko Insu. The Confederation is too proud to admit their mistake yet, he replied. But the Vorthic Empire is facing internal rebellion. 3 of their member species are demanding answers. When their colonies start dying completely, they will have no choice. Dr. On Seok-jin prepared plans for what would eventually become the Galactic Restoration Initiative. His team designed new methods for reviving dead worlds, combining human biology with advanced technology in ways that had never been attempted before. If we do return to help them, he explained to his planners, we need to do it right. These worlds will be more damaged than when we first found them. We'll need new approaches, better technology, and much more control over the process. Captain Lee Woo-bin trained new pilots in secret facilities around Earth. The next generation of human starship crews would need different skills than their predecessors. They would not be explorers or colonists, they would be restorers and guardians. When we return to space, he told his trainees, we will not be asking for permission. We will not be accepting limits placed by other species. We will go where we need to go and do what needs to be done. The quantum beacons continued to send data back to Earth. Every day brought new evidence of ecological disaster spreading across former human space. Atmospheric collapse, soil poisoning, water contamination, and biological system failure affected world after world. Admiral Park Dae-ho stood in his command center, watching the data streams that showed 17 worlds dying. Slowly but surely. The Vorthak had wanted to remove the human plague from the galaxy. Instead, they had removed the galaxy's immune system. Project Deep Garden is entering Phase 2, he announced to his staff. Begin preparations for active intervention. When these worlds finally collapse completely, we need to be ready to act immediately. The silence from humanity was about to end. The galaxy had compelled them to leave and ignored their warnings. Now they would face the consequences of their decision. And when they finally understood their mistake, they would discover that humans had been preparing for this moment all along. 5 years had passed since humanity left the colonies. The galaxy was dying. Fleet Admiral Ko Insu stood before the holographic display in his command center beneath the Pacific Ocean. Red warning symbols covered the star map like a disease spreading through space. 17 worlds showed critical system failures. 32 neighboring systems reported environmental problems. The ecological collapse was spreading faster than anyone had predicted. Show me the Kepler system, he ordered his aide, the display. Zoomed in on what had once been humanity's most successful colony. Kepler 442b had been a frozen wasteland before humans arrived. 50 years of careful terraforming had created a world with blue oceans, green forests, and breathable air. Now the oceans were turning red with toxic algae blooms. The forests were dying. The atmosphere was becoming poisoned. Dr. Song Da-jin worked frantically in her laboratory, analyzing data from the quantum beacons. Her atmospheric engineering expertise had helped create many of the failing worlds. Now she studied why they were collapsing so completely. The cascade effect is worse than we thought, she reported to Admiral Park Dae-ho. When one system fails, it triggers failures in connected systems. The Vorthak don't understand that everything is linked together. Captain Lee Woo-bin reviewed intelligence reports from Commander Oh Dong-wook's covert missions. The news was grim from every world. Vorthak colonists were evacuating in panic. Orbital stations overflowed with refugees. Some worlds had become completely uninhabitable. Gliese 581 grams is dead, Commander O reported during a secure transmission. The atmosphere is pure methane and sulfur compounds now. Nothing can live there. The Vorthak lost 2 million colonists before they finished the evacuation. The Galactic Confederation held emergency sessions every week. Representatives from hundreds of species demanded answers and solutions. Food shortages affected 60% of galactic trade routes. Refugee camps appeared on dozens of worlds. The economic system was collapsing along with the ecosystems. Dr. Kim Hae-jin had spent 5 years studying the symbiotic relationships between humans and alien environments. Her research revealed the true scope of what the galaxy had lost when they forced humanity to leave. "We were never just colonists," she explained to President Moon Hye-won during a briefing. "We were keystone species. Our presence maintained biological balance on dozens of worlds. Without us, entire regions of space are becoming uninhabitable." The Vorthak Empire faced internal rebellion. 3 of their 7-member species had broken away, blaming the leadership for the disaster. The remaining 4 species struggled to maintain control as their territories became worthless wastelands. "Our glorious conquest has become our greatest defeat," the former Vorthak leader admitted during a secret recording that director Bae Sung-ho's agents had intercepted. "We removed the humans to save the galaxy, instead we destroyed it." Engineer Yu Tae-min received desperate messages from Vorthak engineers begging for help with human terraforming technology. The equipment continued to malfunction under alien operation. Atmospheric processors created toxic gas instead of breathable air. Soil treatment systems poisoned the ground instead of enriching it. "They still don't understand," he told his team. "They think technology is separate from biology. They don't realize that our machines were designed to work with human operators as part of the system." President Moon Hye-won called a meeting of Earth's Leadership Council. The time for passive observation was ending. The galaxy was begging for help, though they had not yet admitted it officially. "We have received over 300 unofficial requests for assistance," she announced to the council. "Species representatives are contacting our hidden embassies. They want us to return and fix what they broke. Are we ready?" asked Fleet Admiral Ko and Su. Admiral Yang Ju-won, commander of humanity's new space fleet, answered confidently. "More than ready. We have been building ships and training crews for 5 years. Our technology is now 50 years ahead of anything else in the galaxy." Dr. An Sok-jin presented his restoration plans to the council. His team had designed new methods for reviving dead worlds that combined human biology with advanced technology in revolutionary ways. "We can restore the damaged worlds," he explained, "but it will require total human control of the process. No interference from other species, no committee decisions, no compromise with alien politics." The breakthrough came when the Altarian president, leader of the Galactic Confederation, sent a secret message to Earth. The ancient being who had overseen humanity's exile now begged for their return. "We were wrong," the message said simply. "The galaxy is dying without you. Please help us." President Moon Hye-won recorded Earth's official response in the secure communication chamber beneath Geneva. Her words would reshape galactic politics. "Forever, people of the galaxy," she began. "5 years ago, you compelled humanity to leave our colonies. You ignored our warnings about the consequences. You chose fear over facts and suspicion over science." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Today, your 17 worlds are dead or dying. Your economies are collapsing. Your people are becoming refugees. You face the consequences we warned you about." The message continued with humanity's terms. "We will return to space. We will restore the damaged worlds. We will save your failing economies. But we will do so under new conditions." The conditions were simple but absolute. Any world that humanity restored would become a human protectorate. Humanity would receive voting rights in the Galactic Confederation proportional to their contribution to galactic stability. The Vorthak Empire would be disbanded immediately, and its member species would be placed under Confederation supervision. "These terms are not negotiable," President Moon concluded. "Accept them, and we will begin restoration immediately. Reject them, and watch your galaxy die." The response came within hours. The Galactic Confederation accepted all conditions unanimously. Even the remaining Vorthak representatives voted in favor, desperate to save their dying worlds. Admiral Park Daeho activated humanity's new space fleet from his command center. Ships that had been secretly constructed in Earth's asteroid belt powered up their engines. Crews that had trained for 5 years prepared for their mission. "Project Deep Garden is entering its final phase," he announced. "All restoration fleets, prepare for departure." Captain Li Wubin took command of the first restoration fleet. His ships were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They carried not just advanced technology, but carefully selected human crews whose biological presence would help restore planetary balance. Destination: Kepler 442b, he ordered. Time to bring the dead back to life. Dr. Ru Yun-young led the biological restoration teams. Her understanding of human-alien symbiosis would be crucial for reviving the damaged ecosystems. Remember, she told her teams, we're not just fixing machines. We're rebuilding the biological relationships that took decades to develop. Every breath you take, every step you make, every cell you shed will help heal these worlds. Commander. Dong-wook's covert operations became official as he led security forces to protect the restoration teams. Some species might resist human control even if they needed human help. Our mission is to ensure the restoration proceeds without interference, he briefed his troops. Anyone who threatens our people or our work will be removed. The first human ships to leave Earth's solar system in 5 years crossed into former human territory. The galaxy watched in amazement as dead worlds began to show signs of life within days of human arrival. The reckoning had begun. Humanity was returning to space, but not as the same species that had been forced to leave. They returned as the galaxy's saviors and new masters, carrying with them the hard-learned lessons of 5 years in exile and the absolute determination to never be compelled to leave again. The human fleet arrived at Kepler 442b like angels descending from heaven. Captain Li Wubin watched through his ship's windows as the dead world slowly turned below him. The oceans that had once been blue were now blood-red with toxic algae. The continents that had once been green with forests were now brown wastelands. The atmosphere glowed with poisonous gases. Begin atmospheric cleaning procedures, he ordered his crew. Deploy the biological restoration pods. Activate the new terraforming systems. Within hours, the sky above Kepler 442b began to change. Human ships released carefully designed bacteria into the atmosphere. These new organisms had been created during humanity's 5 years on Earth, combining human biology with advanced genetic engineering. They ate the poisonous gases and produced clean oxygen. Dr. An Seok-jin stood on the surface of the planet in his environmental suit, watching his restoration teams work. They moved with practiced efficiency, setting up equipment that looked nothing like the old terraforming machines. These new devices worked with human operators as living partners, not just as tool users. Soil treatment is beginning, reported Dr. Ru Yun-young through her communicator. The new symbiotic bacteria are responding well to human presence. We should see results within days, not years. Admiral Yang Zhuwan commanded the restoration fleet from his flagship in orbit. His ships were marvels of human engineering, built during the secret years on Earth. They carried not just advanced technology, but entire ecosystems in storage bays. Plants, animals, bacteria, and fungi that had evolved alongside humans were ready to bring dead worlds back to life. Fleet status report? He requested from his communications officer. All 17 restoration fleets have reached their targets, came the reply. Restoration is beginning simultaneously on all former human worlds. Resistance from local populations is minimal. The former Vorthek colonists on Kepler 442b watched in amazement as the humans worked. Within 3 days, the red oceans began to clear. Within a week, green shoots appeared in the poisoned soil. Within a month, the atmosphere was breathable again. President Moon Hae-won addressed the galaxy from her office on the restored New Sol colony. The planet that had been a toxic wasteland just 6 months ago was now more beautiful than it had ever been. Human restoration technology had not just fixed the damage, it had improved on the original terraforming. Citizens of the galaxy, she began, her voice broadcast to every inhabited world. The restoration of the 17 worlds is complete, but this is only the beginning of humanity's return to space. She paused, looking out the window at the thriving city that surrounded her. We have learned much during our years of exile. We have discovered that humanity's role in the galaxy is not as conquerors or colonists. We are gardeners. We are healers. We are the species that makes life possible for others. The Galactic Confederation had changed dramatically since humanity's return. Fleet Admiral Ko Insu now held the position of Supreme Military Advisor, with authority over all galactic defense forces. The former Vorthik military commanders reported to him, humbled by their species' spectacular failure. The new order is simple, Fleet Admiral Ko explained to a gathering of alien military leaders. Humanity will maintain peace and stability throughout the galaxy. Any species that threatens ecological balance or attacks human protectorates will face immediate consequences. Dr. Kim Hyjin established the Galactic Ecological Institute on the restored Gliese 581G. Her research team studied the symbiotic relationships between humans and alien environments, developing new ways to maintain planetary balance. Students from dozens of species came to learn from human expertise. We now understand that humans are keystone species on a galactic scale, she explained to her students. Your presence on a world does not just change that world. It stabilizes entire regions of space. Engineer Utaemin led the development of new terraforming technology that other species could safely use. But these systems required human supervisors and human biological input to function properly. Without human partnership, the technology simply would not work. The galaxy demanded that we leave, he told his engineering teams. Now they cannot survive without us. This time, we will make sure they remember that fact. Commander Odong-wook established security forces on every restored world. His troops were not occupiers but protectors, ensuring that the restoration process continued without interference. Former Vorthik territories were divided among human protectorates, with local populations learning to live under human guidance. The species that once demanded our removal now beg for our protection, he reported to Admiral Park Dae-ho. They understand that human presence means life, while human absence means death. The economic transformation was even more dramatic than the ecological restoration. Trade routes that had been disrupted by the collapse reopened under human management. Food production increased on every human-controlled world. Refugee camps were replaced by thriving cities. Dr. Song Da-jin designed atmospheric systems for dozens of worlds beyond the original 17 colonies. Species that had never hosted human populations now requested human assistance to improve their planetary conditions. The waiting list for human ecological intervention grew longer every month. We have become the galaxy's doctors, she explained to President Moon Hae-won. Every species wants our help to make their worlds healthier. Captain Lee Woo-bin was promoted to the first human governor-general of the restored colonies. His job was to ensure that the new worlds remained stable and productive. Under his leadership, the 17 restored worlds became the most prosperous region in the galaxy. 5 years ago, we were forced to leave these worlds, he said during his inauguration ceremony. Today, we return not as refugees or colonists, but as the rightful guardians of galactic civilization. The former Vorthak species learned to live under human oversight. Their military was disbanded. Their political leaders were replaced by human-approved administrators. Their young people studied in human schools, learning ecological science and sustainable development. Admiral Park Dae-ho, now promoted to Supreme Commander of Human Forces, established the new galactic order from his headquarters on restored Kepler 442b. Under his leadership, humanity controlled the galaxy not through conquest but through indispensability. Every world needs human presence to remain stable, he explained to visiting alien dignitaries. Every ecosystem requires human biology to maintain balance. Every civilization depends on human knowledge for survival. The Galactic Confederation had become, in practice, a human empire. But it was an empire built on healing rather than conquest, on restoration rather than destruction. Species that cooperated with human guidance prospered. Those that resisted faced ecological collapse. Director Bae Seung-ho's intelligence network became the galaxy's information system, monitoring ecological conditions and political stability throughout known space. His agents ensured that no species could threaten the new order without human knowledge. "We are no longer just watching," he reported to the Human Leadership Council. "We are guiding galactic development. Every major decision in the galaxy is made with human input." The transformation was complete within a decade of humanity's return. The species that had once feared human expansion now competed for human attention. Worlds that had never seen humans begged for human colonies. The galaxy that had compelled humanity to leave now could not imagine existing without them. President Moon Haewon stood on the observation deck of the space station above Earth, looking out at the stars. Human ships traveled to every corner of the galaxy, carrying life and hope to dead worlds. The species that had once called humans a plague now called them saviors. "We warned them," she said quietly to Fleet Admiral Ko In-soo, who stood beside her. "We told them they would face consequences if they compelled us to leave. Did you expect it to end this way?" he asked. She smiled as she watched human ships departing for distant stars. "We knew they would need us eventually. We just didn't know they would need us this much. The galaxy compelled humanity to leave. We warned them about the consequences. Now they understand that some warnings should have been heeded." The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity had returned, not as the same species that had been forced into exile, but as the new shepherds of galactic civilization they had faced the consequences of others' choices and emerged as the indispensable guardians of life itself.